Welcome to our video for high leverage practice number 12, Systematically Design Instruction Towards Learning Goals. There are 22 high leverage practices for special education spread across 4 domains. Systematically Design Instruction falls under the instruction domain. This video is broken into 2 parts. In part 1, we provide a definition and rationale for systematically designing instruction towards specific learning goals. In part 2, we highlight and demonstrate 3 key components of this HLP. Part 1. What is systematically designed instruction? Systematic instruction is a well-researched instructional approach available to general and special education teachers working with students with disabilities. But what is it? Many students with disabilities struggle to learn content, especially when the new information holds little, if any, relevance to their life. As a result, students may not learn important content when it is first presented, and teachers typically move quickly from topic to topic in order to keep up with curriculum pacing guides and prepare students for various assessments. Because content in most subjects is additive, deficits in prior knowledge can snowball into significant gaps that result in student frustration and failure. Teachers who systematically design instruction towards specific learning goals are cognizant of this issue and take important steps towards a positive solution. The hallmark of systematic instruction is teachers establish clear learning goals for students. They sequence each lesson to explicitly connect to previously learned material, all while using explicit scaffolds to help support acquisition of new knowledge. It takes careful planning to systematically design instruction. Teachers must identify precise learning goals, determine what students need to know and be able to do in order to reach the goal, and allocate instructional time as appropriate to meet student needs. It's important to note that systematic instruction is not applied in isolation. Rather, it is one component of well-designed lessons and units. For example, systematic instruction is very closely tied to the principles of explicit instruction. Explicit instruction is another high-leverage practice for special education, which you can read about in the HLP book published by CEC and the Cedar Center, and learn about in video 16 from this series. Systematically designed instruction is effective for many students, not only those with disabilities, and it can be used across grade levels and content areas. It's important to note, however, that while any teacher can and should systematically design instruction towards learning goals, the intensity with which teachers use this practice increases with the specific needs of students with disabilities. For example, special education teachers and other specialists should use data to make informed decisions about student goals, identify intense interventions to pursue and address those goals, and determine needed supports that bridge the gap between the demands of the curriculum and the needs of the students. Part 2. 3 components of systematically designed instruction. There are 3 key components of systematically designing instruction towards learning goals. 1. Set clear, specific, challenging, and measurable goals for students. 2. Organize and sequence lessons logically so they target broader goals. And 3. Support students in organizing new knowledge by providing scaffolds and structures for learning. Component 1. Set clear, specific, challenging, and measurable learning goals for students. It is important for teachers to set instructional goals for individual students, instructional groups, and for the entire class. All goals should be set based on available data and in consultation with instructional experts. For students with disabilities, goals should be contained within the IEP and regularly measured using progress monitoring tools. Teachers should explicitly communicate goals so students know what is expected. It is important to connect daily goals to longer-term outcomes. In addition, teachers should be clear about what constitutes success and what steps students will need to complete in order to achieve the goal successfully. Activities during lessons should be structured so students succeed to the extent possible. In the following clip showing a small group mathematics lesson, Ms. Sarah Melvin connects prior knowledge and a prior learning goal to the goal of today's lesson. Note how she is providing multiple opportunities to respond and providing feedback to her students.
Today in home group we discussed how multiplication is a shortcut for repeated addition, right? Yeah. And this week we're focusing on our multiples of 3 and 6. Thinking back to our last unit, what are some ways we can represent multiplication using models? Raise your hand and give me an idea. Marco?
Array.
An array. Awesome. Devin?
Equal groups.
Perfect. Yeah.
Repeated addition.
Repeated addition. Have any others? What about on a number line?
Number line.
Awesome. Okay, today our focus is going to be on equal groups and number lines.
Component 2. Organize and sequence lessons logically. We mentioned previously that teachers should explicitly state how the current lesson or activity fits in the sequence of what else students have been doing and learning. In addition, activities should explicitly support students' progress towards learning goals. By logically sequencing skills, teachers can scaffold instruction to support performance and progress. For example, in a systematically designed lesson or unit, less complex knowledge and skills are taught before more complex concepts. Frequently used content is taught before less frequently used content, and teachers explicitly teach students skills and procedures needed for independent use. Teachers are explicit about confirming students' critical background knowledge and reteach as needed. In a more intensive educational setting, goals might be broken down into smaller increments, but it should still be clear to students how the goal or its increments connect to prior and future learning. In this small group reading example, Dr. Carol Canaday Payne scaffolds a phonics lesson so students first orally identify the number of phonemes and words, which represents less complex knowledge, and then later she provides the opportunity for them to demonstrate that basic knowledge by completing a more complex task. In sum, she demonstrates a logically organized and sequenced lesson.
Now we are going to it's really important to hear sounds, right, to read. And so this number 2 is going to be, if you hear 2 sounds, then you're going to put the picture here, okay? Okay, we're sorting pictures by how many sounds they have. 2 sounds, put up a number 2. Okay, cool. And 3 sounds, good. And 4 sounds. All right. Raise your hand and tell me, what does it mean? What is rabbit talk? Alexis.
Fast.
Fast. Okay, so like if we say this word, we're going to say it really
Ice.
fast. We're going to say ice,
Ice.
right? Really fast. Okay, so what is turtle talk? McKinley.
Slow.
Slow. We stretch it out and we say ice, right? Okay, cool. All right, so here we go. First, let's be the rabbit. Ready, go. Ice.
Ice. Ice.
Everybody, let's do it again. Ready, go.
Ice.
All right, let's stretch it out like a turtle. Ice. Let's count the sounds we just heard. Ice.
2.
So point where you would put it. Put it right there. Okay, cool. All right. So now let's try to write one of these. Let's write the word pot. Raise your hand and tell me, this is the first sound we hear goes here, then the second sound, then the third sound. What do I put here?
P.
Austin?
P.
P. Okay. P for pot. Let's stretch it out again like a turtle. Pot. What do I put in here?
Component 3. Support students in organizing new knowledge by providing scaffolds and structures for learning. By making explicit connections among content and skills, either with graphic organizers or other organization tools, teachers can help students see relationships among facts and concepts, maximize retention of new information, deepen understanding of material, and help students apply new knowledge or skills independently. A key to providing high-quality systematic instruction is to show students a variety of ways to interact with or demonstrate the skill or concept being taught. Using manipulatives, graphic organizers, and other visual aids and tools, students are supported in their organization of new information. It's important to note, however, that the teacher must explicitly teach students how these aids should be used to boost their learning. Providing a model to students of how they should use these tools to organize their knowledge, and opportunities for them to practice using the tools and receive feedback on their practice are all vital steps in systematically designing instruction. Supports for students with disabilities should be individualized per their IEP. In a more intensive learning environment, the teacher should carefully select a scaffold or tool, such as a graphic organizer, that provides individualized support. In this setting, students also need teachers to model when and how the support should be used, and also need multiple opportunities to practice and receive feedback using the support. In this final clip showing an intensive mathematics lesson, Mrs. Sadai Khan scaffolds her students' success for solving word problems by explicitly modeling use of a strategy and using manipulatives.
Molly, we are going to do some word problems today. I'm going to do one all by myself, and then we're going to do some together, and then you are going to do some all by yourself.
Okay.
Here I have a tool that I like to use to help me remember the steps to solving a word problem. So here, the first step I do is read the problem and think, what is the problem about? Then for step 2, I reread the problem and try to figure out what are they asking me. I have to do step 3 and think, what operation should I use? Do I need to add, subtract, multiply, or divide? And then step 4, check my answer and think, does my answer make sense? Is my math correct? So I like to keep this tool in front of me when I'm solving word problems to make sure that I'm doing everything correctly and I'm getting the right answer. So I'm going to start by doing one all by myself, and I want you to see how I would do it. There are 9 students playing on the grass. 6 more join them. How many are playing on the grass in all? I would say to myself, what is this problem about? It's about students playing in the grass. What is the problem asking me? It wants to know how many kids are playing all together. So from that, I can tell that this problem wants me to do some addition. How many are playing in the grass in all? So I'm going to get some blocks because it helps if I can see what I'm working with. And I know that there are 9 students playing in the grass, so I'll count out 9. And I'm going to go ahead and write on the table 9. And then it says 6 more join them. So I'm going to go back to my bag of manipulatives and add 6 more blocks. And I'll go ahead and write a big 6 on the table. So I remember when I went through my steps, I had to figure out what the problem was asking me to do. And I remember it was to add. So between my numbers, I'm going to write that plus sign because that means I need to add. So now I need to add 9 plus 6 to figure out how many I will have altogether.
Sign.
Thanks for reminding me. I went ahead and wrote that equal sign there. So I'm going to add, or I'm going to combine all of my blocks now to see how many kids were playing in the grass all together. When I added the 9 plus 6, I got 15. How many are playing in the grass in all? 15 students are playing all together in the grass. So that's how I solved my problem. I used my tool to remind me of the steps that I needed to take. I wrote on the table so I could see my equation, but I also used manipulatives to help me combine all of those numbers together to get my final answer. Do you think we can try one together? Okay.
In the previous clip, Mrs. Khan provided the modeling and solved the problem. Afterwards, she continued with a high level of scaffolding to support Molly's attempts to use the strategy and become independent. In summary, systematic instruction begins at the planning phase, when teachers carefully consider students' performance in light of curricular demands. Then, systematic instruction continues throughout the instructional process to match the intensity of instruction with students' individualized needs. The principles of systematic instruction intersect with several other HLPs, including number 16, use explicit instruction, and HLP number 20, intensify instruction. More information about systematically designing instruction towards learning goals and its role in supporting the needs of students with and without disabilities can be found at www.highleveragepractices.org and the National Center for Intensive Instruction website. Thanks for watching, and please continue using resources from this series on high leverage practices for special education.